Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our January 6th, 2026 City Council meeting. This is our first of the new year, all seated with our new council members, and we're excited for what comes forward. We will start our opening ceremony with the Pledge of Allegiance. We've asked Councilmember Graff if he would lead us in that pledge, so follow his instruction.
Please rise and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, we would like to pause for a moment of silence. So if you would join us for a moment of silence. And thank you. At this time, we would like to give a moment for some acknowledgments. Are there any acknowledgments council members have for today?
Chair, I have an acknowledgement. I'd like to actually thank you, Mayor Nadolski, for kicking this off. So the Ben Lomond High School cheerleading squad has an opportunity to go compete at nationals this year, or this year, I guess. We're in this year. And so appreciate Mayor putting out a challenge on that. There's a fundraising campaign there just to make sure the whole team can go to compete. I checked. I think it seems like they're just over 7,000 on their $10,000 goal. So they're getting close. But I plan to contribute to that as well. I hope those who can have the excess funds or the ability to do that can help support that. It's a great opportunity. They really have shown a lot of success and are building quite the program over there. So anyway.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Chair, yeah. Ogden will be playing host to the World Curling Championships at the Weber Ice Sheet, March 27th through April 4th. This could be a precursor to us becoming an Olympic venue. I am hopeful that they're trying us out for that. Tickets are on sale now. So this is an opportunity to see some world-class curling.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I would like to remind everyone that this Friday and Saturday is the Hoff Festival at the Ogden Egyptian, not the Egyptian, but the Ogden Eccles Conference Center. Yeah. And they're very kind to host that. And actually, I think they do most of the organization, but it should be a delightful time, and it always has a great turnout. And looking forward to our mayor's address this week on Thursday at the Union Station. That should be an enjoyable event. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any others? I'll just make a little footnote that this is Councilmember Choburka's last meeting. We did kind of roast all of the people who were leaving us in December, but you got a little extended stay because of a vacation. But anyway, we thank you for filling in for one last meeting and wish you the best. All right. So,
Chair, I'd like to, if we can, if there are no further acknowledgements, I'd motion that we reorder our agenda just slightly to move the third item below the fourth item, and so we'll go ahead and proceed with the fourth item and do the third item after. If
okay,
that's.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to reorder our agenda. Just moving 3 and 4. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, we will take them in that order. So the next item is our fiscal year 2024 to 2025 audit report. This is for accepting for review. So we have, let's see, who's here to present for us? Oh yeah, Justin? Well, let's see, I've got, yeah, Jeff's here also. Well, you guys figure it out, will you?
So thank you, Chair. I'll go first and talk a little about our annual comprehensive financial report, and then Jeff Miles with HPME, the audit firm that has been hired by the city to be able to do that audit for us. He'll get up and discuss our audit report. So first of all, thank you, council members, for the opportunity to be here and to present to you on our audited financial report. It has been uploaded to our city website, and I'll show here in a couple slides on how to navigate the website, and so you all know where to go and find it, and for any citizens that are also wanting to find that as well. It's an exciting 200-page document that I'm sure everybody is dying to read. So lots of numbers. Currently, we typically have our single audit report also up on the website, but we haven't received it yet. So once we do receive that, we will get that uploaded on the website as well. So currently just our financial report. I'd like to thank administration, council, and especially the management services staff that it's a lot of time and effort that goes into this, to prepping this document, to getting ready for the audit and going through the audit process. I especially want to call out and thank Corley Jensen from our group. She's the assistant finance director for the city, and she spends a lot of time with both preparing and working with our auditors, and then also drafting our financial statements. So I just want to thank her, as well as the rest of our finance team. It's a lot of work to make sure that we've been accounting for things correctly, we're following all the guidances that we're required to do, and then also working with the auditors and providing all the information they need in a timely manner so that we can go through that audit. And it's been a pleasure to work with HPME. We've been working with them for a few years now, and they're a great firm to work with. So these results for this audit report is as of June 30th of 2025. Just to give you a couple of high-level information from this report, one of the things I would encourage everybody to look at, there's a section in the financial statements called the Management Discussion and Analysis, or MD&A that we prefer to call. I encourage you to go look at that. It gives kind of an overview of things related to the city financially. But just a couple of different items. The fund balances for both the governmental and enterprise funds for the city increased by 3.38% over the prior year. This for the city. So what that shows is that the city is in a better financial position than it was in the prior year. Additionally, with this report, we did increase our long-term debt by about $9 million, and those were related to, for those council members that remember or recall, we took on some debt related to the purchase of the Forest Service building, and then also related to the special purpose entity that was created for the new markets tax credit. There was debt related to that transaction that took place. We also, and this is a proud thing that I like to talk about, is the city invested over $110 million in capital infrastructure in the last year. It's a huge amount of money that went towards capital infrastructure. A couple of the big items that were involved in there was the beginning of the construction of the Canyon Pipeline, the 36-inch line up the canyon, also with the finishing of the Marshall White Center during the last fiscal year, and also the parking tower, a large portion. So those were a couple of the big projects that have been going on. Additionally, enterprise projects, a lot of different other things. So a lot of great things going on there. So just to show you how to navigate, so on the city website, when you first go to ogdencity.gov and you scroll down, there's a section called Popular Links. So when you go down, there's a one called Budgets and Financials. When you click on that, you'll notice that we've got it set up so we have fiscal years. Thank you. Fiscal years 26, 25, and 24, and then if you want to look at any prior years, those are there as well. And so if you're looking for this is our fiscal year 25 financial statements. You'll click on fiscal year 25, and then down at the bottom there is our financial statements. And once our single audit is uploaded, we will have that right there as well. And so once you click on that link, it'll pull up this document, which kind of, to give you an overview, our financial statements are broken up into three main sections. We have an introductory section, which talks about, it includes a transmittal letter to the mayor and city council from the management services executive director and myself. And then there's the financial section. That's the bulk of of this report. So that includes all the financial information, provides a general description of the city's finances with additional supplementary information. And then we also have the statistical section or information at the end, which provides some detailed historical information, which puts current financial statements in historical context, which has several tables and other things with financial trends. But so that's a kind of a high overview. Appreciate you being able to be able to come and talk to you about this, and we'll discuss this in more detail if you accept for review in February. I believe February 3rd is the date. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jeff, and he'll talk about the audit.
Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you. Thanks, Justin. It's a pleasure to be with council and the mayor once again, presenting the audited financial statements. As Justin said, it's a 200-page document, and of those 200 pages, about 10 of them belong to our firm, the reports that we issue related to the financial statements. I'm happy to report that we are issuing a clean or unmodified opinion on the financial statements, that they are presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. And with that, it's a long process of quarterly drafting the financial statements and going back and forth, reviewing them to make sure that they're as accurate as possible. Say that the audit went very well. We came out the last week of October, and we were on site for 2 weeks. And then from there, kind of have some wrap-up work with the city. We met with the audit committee the second week in December to preliminarily discuss the financial statements as well as the results of the audit. And with that, we did have 2 findings related to state compliance this year, and we can discuss those in a little more detail at the work session. But the findings, one of them related to the budget of the new special purpose entity. That SPE was formed in April or May, I believe. And so it was pretty late in the budget year, and because of that, the city didn't adopt a budget for that fund for the year, and there were a few expenditures related to the issuance of the debt that weren't budgeted for by the city before that occurred. And it's kind of a one-off transaction. It's the first time I'd ever seen a special purpose entity formed by local government, so it's just kind of the city learning how that's going to be blended in within the city's financial statements. And then that was the only finding this year. So I thought, prior year we had 2, this year we only had the 1 finding related to the budget. And then also with every governmental audit that we're required to do, we sit down with management and we go through the internal controls that the city has. Additionally, the city provides a fraud risk assessment, which I believe was presented to council in December. And with that fraud risk assessment, they go through and do their own internal kind of assessment of how risky the city is deemed. And part of that is their assessment. A big part of internal controls is the segregation of duties of who has the ability to authorize certain transactions, because you don't want the same person handling cash that's approving the transaction or also has the ability to write checks and also reconciling items. So with that, they kind of do an analysis of those segregation of duties, and then we do some follow-up to make sure that those transactions are happening properly. And with that, we didn't identify any significant deficiencies within the city's internal control framework. And one key way we also identify that is through if we identify any misstatements in the financial statements or it results in a journal entry, because usually if there's a journal entry during our audit, it's because there was a breakdown in internal control somewhere. But during our audit, we didn't have any journal entries that we proposed to management, which is a testament to them that they're taking the time to reconcile the city's books accurately and timely and ensures that the audit goes well. So that's kind of the extent of the reports that we have. Like I said, it'd be great to be able to sit down in the work session of February and discuss these items in more detail. And to follow up to Justin, he mentioned the federal single audit. So any local government that spends more than $750,000 of federal funds is subject to a single audit, and should have that wrapped up either by the end of this week or early next week, and it'll be available for us to discuss at the work session. I guess with that, any questions from council or mayor with respect to the audit?
Any questions for Jeff or Justin at this point? Okay, thank
Great,
you.
thank you.
Chair, I don't have questions, but I did want to also just mention Councilmember Myers and I are on the audit committee, and we have two outstanding professional accountants also that are part of that committee, and just wanted to thank them, Jared Stevens and Patrick Munson, who were serving in that capacity. So,
Thank you. All right, well, these we don't have input on these, so I'll look for a motion. We'll take them both separately.
Chair, I'll make a motion to accept for review the fiscal year 2024 to 25 audit report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Choberka, seconded by Councilmember Graff, to accept for review the 2024-2025 audit report. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, that passes. On the next item?
Chair, I would make the motion then that we adopt or accept for review the 2024-2025 annual comprehensive financial report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Ritchie, second by Councilmember Graff, to accept for review the 2024-25 annual comprehensive financial report. This is also a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, that also passes. We will now go back to item 3 on our agenda, since our guest of honor finally decided to grace us with his presence. So we're talking nasty to you because you left. See, if you'd have stayed, we'd have spoken more reverently to you.
Chair, and I also would like to acknowledge we have former council member Blair in the audience too.
Oh, that's right. I did see him sneak in. Thank you for recognizing Councilmember Blair. All right. We would like to have Councilmember Ritchie read this proclamation.
Great, thank you, Chair. It's an honor for me to read this proclamation of a great Wildcat, and for those that aren't wearing purple in the room, I hope I wore enough purple for all of us. There was a debate in my home whether President Mortensen would come with a purple tie or a blue tie, and we all lost because there's no tie. So no money is exchanging hands in my home, but okay. All right, so I'm gonna put my glasses on here.
What was your bet?
Purple tie.
You thought
purple tie,
okay.
yeah. It's next time. Yeah. Okay, proclaiming January 6, 2026 as Brad Mortensen Day in Ogden City. Whereas Brad Mortensen was appointed as the 13th president of Weber State University in December 2018, throughout his tenure, he provided exceptional leadership, championing student access, affordability, and opportunity. And whereas, as a first-generation college graduate, President Mortensen understood the value of education, he earned an associate's degree from Ricks College, a bachelor's degree in political science from Utah State University, a master's degree in public administration from Syracuse University, and a doctoral degree in educational leadership from the University of Utah. And whereas before joining Weber State University in 2004, President Mortensen served in key roles within Utah's system of higher education, the Utah Office of the Governor, and the Arizona Legislature. Over his 21 years at Weber State University, he held several leadership positions, including Associate Vice President for Support and Government Relations for 3 years, Vice President for University Advancement for 11 years, and the past 7 years as President of Weber State University. And whereas during Brad's tenure as president of Weber State, the university experienced significant growth, he led the creation of the Utah System of Higher Education's first accelerated bachelor's programs and gained approval for Weber State to offer 90 to 94 credit degrees. He also established the Miller Advanced Research and Solutions, MARS, Center in partnership with state, federal, and industry leaders, expanded new graduate programs, including the Doctor of Nursing Practice, and guided Weber State's dual enrollment program to become the largest in the nation among four-year institutions in 2024. Throughout his leadership, Brad helped to secure nearly $400 million to enhance academic, athletic, and research facilities across campus. And whereas President Mortensen was a driving force in strengthening the partnership between Weber State University, Ogden City, and surrounding communities, he was a steadfast supporter of the College Town Coalition, which was established in 2015 to enhance collaboration between Weber State and Ogden City. Early in his presidency, he prioritized community engagement through the Weber State Louder and Prouder Tour, which highlighted student achievements and successes at city council meetings throughout the state. And whereas throughout his time leading Weber State University, Brad exhibited leadership and dedicated service. His efforts broadened access to exceptional educational opportunities and strengthened the university experience for students, faculty, and staff alike. Now therefore be it resolved that the Ogden City Council and Mayor Benjamin K. Nadolski hereby proclaim January 6, 2026 as Brad Mortensen Day in Ogden City. We proudly recognize Brad for his invaluable contributions to our community. We wish him well in his future endeavors as the president of Utah State University, which I'm hearing from my son that he's doing great things already and is widely loved already up there. No surprise. Passed and adopted on this day, 6th day of January 2026. Chair, I'd make a motion that we adopt this resolution.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Ritchie, seconded by Councilmember Myers. And this is a voice vote also. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I hope not. All right. Come on up. What we generally do is take a photo first, and you can kind of shake some hands as you go by. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Kind of squeeze over that way. Bring up your family with you. Bring people. Just kind of squeeze this way. If you'd like him, we'd love him too. So
Get up here.
come on, Bart. Come on up.
We got to get some more purple in this. So thank you for doing that.
Stand up since I'm going to be in the field of view now.
Everyone looking here. Oh, who's here? 1, 2, 3. Can we get everybody to shift this way? There we go. Council members and everyone else, find your window. There you go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
All right.
All right.
Love to hear a few words from you.
Thank you, Chair Heyer, Councilmember Ritchie. Thank you for reading that. I've been here in the chambers a number of times when you've recognized folks, but it's different for yourself. Very humbling. I did resist the urge when I was getting my haircut at 6 o'clock on 25th Street this morning to try to invoke this Brad Mortensen Day and get a free haircut, but that's a true story. But thank you very much. There are many people deserving to be recognized and who play a part, and I just thank you for the partnership and the fun times and a lot of the good work we've done. I wore the pin from when in 2015 when we received the Abernathy Award. You went back to Washington D.C. with us, and we received that recognition for having the outstanding college-town partnership in the country. That was something we built after there were some rough relationships between the city and the university for a while, and wanted to try to build a structure that would persist throughout different leadership and different changes and evolve things. Really proud of that because see that persisting, and there's so much great happening in Ogden and at Weber State, and we'll be cheering for the success of that going forward. Obviously, we didn't hit home runs on all the things we tried to do together. Do we still have that zoning passed for housing on the west side of Harrison in case that ever just kidding. That was a long hearing one night.
It was. Yeah.
But thank you all for being great partners and for just being great to work with and having being able to allow me to help have a positive impact here. And we'll always have very fond memories of the time here and are not very far away, and we'll continue to be looking for opportunities to collaborate and cheer for our mutual success. So thank you very much for this very generous honor. It's very humbling, and I can't thank you enough.
Thank you. I'm going to exercise chair's prerogative a little bit. We've had a request by former council member Blair to speak to this item, so we'll let him come up and say a few words.
16 years and I've never stood here, but yes, I know what day it is. Yes, I know you have a meeting to go to, but I wanted to thank President Mortensen. It was an honor to be able to work with him, and he wasn't lying when he said when he first got here there was some strained relationships between the university and the city, and President Mortensen did a lot of work to help bridge that gap and help create partnerships. And I just wanted to thank him for, I know it was by kind of happenstance that he wound up here in Ogden, and I'm very, very thankful that he landed here for probably longer than he thought he would land here. He did great things not only at Weber State but throughout the entire community, and I'm thankful for his partnership and for his leadership and for the opportunity we had to work together and for his friendship. It was an honor to get to know him better. I remember the first time we ever met, someone said he wanted to run a race and asked if I ran. And I thought, I can run, and Brad and I got to meet that way, and it was lots of fun. We've had a lot of fun memories and fun things, and I'm honored and thankful, and I know he'll do great things up at Utah State. I'm sorry to see him go, but I'm very grateful for the many things that he did here throughout Ogden and at Weber State, and I know we're all, well, Ogden City's much better off and Weber State is much better off for all the effort and all the work that you put in here. So thanks for allowing me this opportunity. I felt bad when I saw that it was on January 6th and I wasn't gonna be able to be here, so I wanted to make sure I came tonight. So thank you all, and thanks, President Mortensen.
Thanks, Bart. Appreciate it. Okay, council members, love to hear your comments.
Are you starting down here?
If you'd like to start first,
Sorry, you're looking at me.
We'd
So-
certainly do that. Yep.
Well, I'll go ahead. I'm so happy that I'm still here. This is my last council meeting after 8 years, and I'm just so happy to be here while we're celebrating you, Brad. I remember, too, when I first met you and your lovely wife, we were at an Eccles Art Center event, and we were chatting. It was the first time I was getting to know you, and I was telling you how I was really wanting to one day work at the United Way and work on the Ogden United Promise Neighborhood Initiative. That was my dream job. And we were actually in the same doctoral program, although you graduated long before me. And it's just so funny that soon after that I did get that dream job. And then we ended up working together because you were on the board there at the United Way. And yeah, the rest is history. So I just really appreciate your kindness in that moment when I was telling you about my dreams. And then also all the wonderful things you've done for our community. Thank you.
Hats off to Brad and your family. We've been neighbors twice. Once when they moved into our neighborhood when they first came to Ogden, and then later moved to Pleasant View, and then repented and came back to Ogden again when he was named president of Weber State University, and he lives about a block from where I live. And we enjoyed a beautiful relationship and friendship, and it's been beautiful to watch your family grow and develop, and to see the nice changes you've made in our community. And hats off to you for the action and effort and vision and foresight that you've had for Weber State, and for the relationships you've formed, and for the great job you've done representing our community. So thanks very much, both to you and Camille and the rest of your family.
Thank you, President Mortensen, and thank you for your time at Weber State University. As a proud Wildcat that graduated with my degree in musical theater and stayed at the university probably a little bit longer than I should have, I've seen and benefited from the growth of the university from my early years working in the Women's Center to being a part of the Black Student Union to being in the musical theater department and having opportunities to take a show to the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. And then on the opposite side, as a graduate, as an alumna, to be so proud of the institution that I graduated from, to take my skills within the community and continue to sharpen them. So thank you for being a part of that story.
Congratulations and a new chapter in your professional career and your families as well. The only connection I've got to Weber State is I had the privilege of teaching as an adjunct instructor in the School of Professional Sales for a few years. And I can't tell you what a pleasure that was for me personally, to spend time on that campus with young people endeavoring to make a positive difference in their lives. Thank you for all you've done for Ogden, all you've done for Weber State, and best of luck in Logan.
Brad, I don't remember when we first met, but it feels like we've always just been close friends, so who knows? But anyway, I am very appreciative of everything you've done for Ogden. I was so upset when I learned the news from my son who texted, "We got Brad." And most people don't know, I did attend Utah State for a few years as well, so I have a place in my heart for them as well. When you grabbed me at the football stadium and said, when we talked right afterwards, I just overwhelmingly just had that feeling of just thank you. Thank you for everything you've done for Ogden. Thank you for everything you've done for Weber State, the students. And Ogden is a better place because of you. And Camille, thank you for supporting him, and Bryn and the rest of the family for all of your efforts in making Ogden a great place. So best of luck in everything you're doing. And just so you know, just want you to know that just how grateful I am. Thank you.
Well, I don't know what else there is to be said, but thank you, President Mortensen, for your contribution to our community. And I've got a couple of nephews up at Utah State, and they're lucky to have you as the president of their school. So thank you again.
I do very fondly remember the time we went to Washington, D.C. to receive the Abernathy Award. That was a really fun time. But the issues that we went through with the College Town Initiative that was going on, those were some really good times, I thought. I thought we that hard work wasn't really all that hard because we did have similar goals and aims. So it was fun to get to know you on that trip too. I also was, disheartened when I heard the news you were leaving. Hopefully you can fix those guys, like you have a Weber State. So our best to you. So thank you for coming down and being here, and for the time you spent as president and the other positions that you held before that. So thank you. Okay. Yep, let's go ahead. Mayor, do you have a comment or two?
I'd love to. In fact, I'll add my voice to everything that's already been said, but I want to thank you for one thing specifically, Brad. And it points to how much Ogden and Weber State did mean to you when you were here, and still does. There's a project that I can't speak too much about, but there's some exciting news coming in 2026. I'll put a little tickler out there during the State of the City, but it's something that Brad and I worked really hard together on. And the news that you were leaving came pretty quickly. And everybody should know that on his way out the door, maybe even 1 foot, maybe 2 feet out the door, he made sure to reach out and say, the university supports this project completely and wholeheartedly, that this is good for Weber State, it's good for Ogden, it's good for the United States of America. And that on my way out the door, I want to make sure that you guys know how much support there is there across the faculty and the institution, while the transitional administration comes in and would not know all of that history. So thank you for making that clear, making sure that that win gets across the finish line. And thank you for loving Ogden so much that you still think about us, even on your way out the door.
Let's do lunch up there sometime. Yeah, all right. That's great. Okay, the next item that we have on our agenda is our new business. This is election of council vice chair. So I will open the nominations for council vice chair.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we nominate Councilmember Dave Graff as council vice chair.
I think that's just a nomination, doesn't need a second, so are there any other nominations? Okay, seeing no more nominations, would you care to give some comments?
Yeah,
Councilmember Graff.
I appreciate the opportunity to be considered as vice chair of Ogden City Council. We're in kind of a big transition right now with 3 new council members and a new executive director in the office, and I think it's important that it's a grand opportunity for me to really engage further in my role as city council member and support the council as a whole, support the individual new council members as well, and work in collaboration to communicate clearly and often with everybody about what's going on around council, and to engage the administration so that we can continue with a strong, collaborative, open conversation about Ogden City. Additionally, I see this role as an opportunity to continue to grow and engage in the community and give back to Ogden, a city that I really, truly love and appreciate. It's another opportunity for us to serve the residents of Ogden as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the next item is the vote on Councilmember Graff. So procedurally, do we have to start this out some fancy way?
I don't think so. I think with the nomination, can we just move to the vote, or does they need a motion and a second to? So a motion and a second, and then a vote.
Okay.
All right, with that, then I would make a motion that we approve the council vice chair, Dave Graff, as council vice chair.
Second.
As nominated, yeah.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Rishi, seconded by Councilmember Choburka to appoint Councilmember Dave Graff as vice chair. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Chaburka.
Aye.
Councilmember Graff.
It's kind of funny, but yeah, aye.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Lundell.
Nay.
Councilmember Myers.
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Aye.
Councilmember Washington.
Nay.
Okay, that passes 5-2. Generally, we'd give the no votes a moment to explain their no vote if they'd like to. Not required, but you're welcome to if you'd like to.
Yeah, I mean, Councilmember Graff and I have had some conversation about this issue and his election, and congratulations. It wasn't my first choice for that position. I see the election that took place in November as a change election, and I think the current leadership doesn't necessarily represent that with the council, and something to consider as we move to another vote in February. But I do look to support all of the things that you've said in your remarks previous to this, of being collaborative and working together, and I think we have already established that relationship, so look forward to it.
Councilmember Graff and I had the opportunity to meet up, and I appreciate that opportunity to chat, to get to know each other more, and the warm welcome, of course, from all the council members, and for this interim position to look towards your leadership and your transparency and your accountability. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for those comments.
Chair, may I make a quick comment?
Yes,
I just
please.
wanted to say that I spoke with Councilmember-elect Lopez and got her insight as well in order to support Dave for vice chair, and I appreciate your willingness to serve, Dave. But she really commented that she really appreciated how much you were willing to come to the neighborhood and meet with the residents and walk around the Patterson project to understand better those issues in the neighborhood. And I've also appreciated that you've been willing to go outside of your district and engage with, other residents and constituents too. So I appreciate your willingness to serve in this interim month.
All right, so next we have the administration of oath of office. Now this is it's on the agenda as the oath of office for the council vice chair, but inasmuch as I have assumed the role of chair for the interim. I will also be sworn in for that, so if you could come up, we'll do that.
You'll both stand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties
and I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you all. We now have on our agenda public comment. So this is an opportunity for you to address the council on any topic. Please come to the microphone. Give us your name and city, please, and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Chair, I don't mean to interrupt. I just didn't know if you remembered there might be people online as well.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for noticing.
Well, I'll kick this year off. So what a better time to think about all the things that our forefathers have done for us. New council members, it's nice to meet you. I'm Linda Sanchez, by the way, if I didn't say that. And it's good to see debate. I encourage that. Getting back to the forefathers, though, I do want to encourage all of you to go and research. Actually, I'll send it to you. The Forefathers Monument. I know that the former council, I've given this to you, but we have new faces in the room. Our forefathers did a lot of amazing things for our country, but it's really important for us today to remember why. Why did they do this? It would have been so much easier. Why did they give their life, their fortunes, everything, not necessarily for themselves, but for us today? So what I want to say is, for me, you are all representing me. What I value the most is truth. Be truthful with me. I can handle that. With that being said, truth should not make you comfortable. It should make you want to change. Sometimes there's things that we have to review and we have to say, hey, maybe this is great. We're still in our vision. Maybe there's things that we come and say, we need to change our vision a little bit. I just want to encourage all of you to view the video that I'll send you. And just remember, if there's something to be said, please, truth, I can handle the truth. And that's all I say. And thank you for serving on my behalf. With that being said, I have, for the new council members, you guys were not here when I gave these out. So I will give those out to you. Thank you. God bless.
Thanks, Linda. Who's next? Looks like we got a couple online. Oh, we got some coming up. All right, come on up.
My name is Chloe Reynolds, a lifetime Ogden resident. After a huge showing of support in the spring from the community demanding the city reopen the trail that crosses Mount Ogden Golf Course, we worked with the city all summer and fall to come up with a plan. On September 11th, a survey opened and an email went out to all 25,000 emails on file with Ogden City Golf Courses. The distribution to trail users had to be much more grassroots, sharing on social media, word of mouth, etc. The QR code for the survey was posted by the city at city courses, but not at trailheads. We finally got the data back to review on December 17th, and we found that that September 11th through September 29th, in 18 days, we had 481 results, and they showed approximately 80% support for keeping the trail open. That aligns with what many of us saw in April, with packed council chambers and overwhelming public support for access to this trail. Between October 1st and October 5th, 400 new responses opposing the trail were submitted, flipping the results to a narrow 52% against the trail. Everyone, including the golfers who submitted their responses, should be upset by this obvious manipulation of data. If you want to see the raw data, I will send it to you. If you can, take the time to read the responses from those opposing the trail. If you get past the expletives and the many copy and pasted threats to leave the men's league if the trail is, quote, built, it is obvious that the opposition is to a new trail, not the same one that has been there since before many of these golfers were born. It's also apparent that none of them have golfed at Logan River or other courses in Utah that have recreating paths. It's also apparent that they don't know about the 0 safety incidences that have ever occurred in the decades since this trail has existed. It is upsetting that taxpayer money was spent using a professional firm to produce a survey with such obvious flaws. The map in the survey had errors that I pointed out to city officials before the survey was published, and I was ignored, and the map was published anyway. It is disappointing that the city leadership is now using these results as proof of community will while ignoring the 3,000 petition signatures completely. The email with the data includes the city's final decision to stop work to reopen the trail. The following 24 hours after the data was released, the mayor published a podcast, and the Standard Examiner ran an article showing how well the golf course is doing and claiming the majority of the community opposes this trail reopening. Again, 3,000 petition signatures, and half of these survey responses supported the trail reopening. After we waited for data for 2.5 months, the city was ready inside of 24 hours with a full PR release. The Ogden Way podcast claims reduced vandalism due to the trail closure. Earlier this spring, the city conveniently claimed that the new installed fence would reduce vandalism. So which is it? At the very end of this podcast episode, it becomes clear what the reason for the final closure is. Quote, "And then you're standing on a par 5 and you're waiting for this old lady to walk the length of the fairway that didn't even pay to be there." Close quote. The trail closure was never about the original claim of safety or uninsurability. It was never the lack of community supporting this trail. It has always been to cater to people who would have the audacity to say something so brazen. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the chambers?
Kim Haslam, Ogden resident. I'm here to express my frustration and disappointment with the closure of the trail through the Mount Ogden Golf Course and with how this entire process has unfolded. Many of us in the community worked in good faith with the city to find a compromise. We participated in meetings, walked the property, and ultimately agreed on a reroute option that avoided greens and fairways and addressed the stated safety concerns. That reroute felt like a done deal. At our last meeting at the golf course, the mayor repeatedly told us he had the power to get it done. And as far as I understood, he was also the one who made the final decision to close off access entirely. What's especially troubling is that Mount Ogden Golf Course and Park was created to preserve open and public land, specifically to protect the area from housing development. Restricting access only to those who can afford to pay to be there goes directly against that purpose. For many years, taxpayers were the ones keeping this golf course afloat. Closing a trail that has been used since at least the 1970s feels like a slap in the face to those taxpayers and longtime community members. I'm also deeply frustrated by the lack of transparency in the public outreach process. City resources were used to send the survey to roughly 25,000 golfer email addresses that the city already had on file, yet the QR code for that same survey was never posted at any trailheads. On top of that, we asked for survey results for months and were not given access to them until a final decision had already been made, followed immediately by an article in the Standard the next morning. That does not feel like meaningful or balanced public engagement. We've been told the original trail was closed for safety reasons, yet there has been no documentation of any trail user ever being hit by a golf ball. If safety truly is the concern, the reroute we agreed upon directly addressed that issue. And if cost is the issue, there are many community members eager and willing to volunteer their time and labor. The mayor himself mentioned on his podcast that Ogden City's streets team is highly proficient at moving dirt and has the necessary equipment. Solutions exist if there is the will to pursue them. All we're asking is for fairness, transparency, and follow-through. The community compromised. We showed up, we collaborated, and then the door was shut anyway. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, since this is news to me that the trail was not approved, and I guess since I was the lone voice of opposition, I should get up and say, I think you made a good decision based on what was there initially, because that trail was never part of the golf course.
Laura, could you tell us your name?
I think y'all knew me by now. Laura Lewis, Ogden City resident. As a hiker and a golfer, I remember when that golf course was built and that trail was shut off. All the hikers knew you went around that, and it has been allowed to be a bike trail and hiking through there. I don't know how much opposition those hikers or those bikers and walkers received from the employees up there, but we knew, hiking groups know, even on hiking maps, that showed us off limits. So I do think the right decision was made, and I'm sorry it wasn't the decision, but I think everybody wanted, but I think it was the right one, safety and everything included.
Thanks, Laura.
Hello, Chase Reynolds, forever Ogden resident. I appreciate opposing views. I think it's important that we hear everybody. I would just pick up where Chloe left off. I think she was sharing an important sentiment that one of the core tenets of kind of what makes Ogden Ogden is the fact that we can all recreate together, and that's something that people come from far and wide to be able to enjoy. Referring to, having to wait on a par 5 for a little old lady to walk down the fairway. I mean, I can think of how many dozens of times you wait for a foursome that's up on the green just chatting and makes you wait, so I don't think there's really that big of a deal for somebody to cross the fairway. That's a pretty easy thing to wait for. I do think, though, that if a golfer were to come into the pro shop after a round and said, hey, I had to wait for 90 seconds for this little old lady, why don't we meet them with some sort of like positive energy to say, hey, thanks for coming to Ogden. Thanks for playing Mount Ogden Golf Course. We let everybody use this space because it's a shared space and we do it safely. Signs that would be posted could easily, again, communicate to golfers and pedestrians alike that there's potentially a safety conflict and that we can do that safely. Can't tell you how many golf courses, I mean, the first one that comes to mind right now is Hubbard Golf Course, where there's a blind spot where you hit down into the fairway and you can't see the golfers in front of you. And so they put up a mirror that you can stand at a specific spot and then see the entire fairway down below you. And I think that that's something that could be done in Mount Ogden for very inexpensive and something that could be effective. Something, again, also worth considering is that, maybe it would be worth, spending some city resources to look into easements, parcels, deeds, other records that prove whether or not the city can legally just take ownership of land that's owned by the Federal Bureau of Reclamation. All the plat maps and everything show this kind of public easement right-of-way use long before the golf course was ever built. And so, I'd like to see, where exactly, that change of ownership or something actually happened. If it did, that's great. I'd just like to see it. And then I think just sort of on a personal note, again, I'm a golfer. I got the email. It does feel rather disingenuous. I mean, we talked about the whole good faith issue with the housing project that was worked up here between Ogden City and the Weber Housing Authority. I think that there's a little bit of potentially bad faith in releasing the results of this poll and then immediately within 24 hours releasing a podcast and a newspaper article that says like, hey, look at this great success, without involving any of us. So where possible, I think myself and the large group of the 3,000 people who signed this survey initially would hope for a little bit more clarity and more information and hopefully even just a further open conversation to talk about what we do next. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. We do have some hands online. Maybe we'll go there for just a minute. The first one is Heath Sato.
Hey there, Heath Sato, Ogden resident. I'm going to have to pull out my headphones because I'm getting the echo. Mayor Nadolski and I have spoken enough times. We've spent hours discussing issues, even right here at my sculpture studio where I am right now. And I won't question, I'm not going to question what's in his heart about this, as I promise you, I know Mayor Nadolski honestly wants to make the best decisions for Ogden, and that he truly cares. That's not in question for me, at least. I appreciated the conversation during the work session today between Councilperson Lundell and Mayor Nadolski. Chloe already went over some of the key issues with the poll, and it was unfortunate we had to find out from KUER and not our local paper about the way the survey was promoted to the golf community and not so much to the trail network community. I just, if you feel you need to close down a trail for safety and legal reasons, I'm fine if you just stand by that decision. But online polls without actual data of who the people participating and all that, they're worth less than nothing, and we shouldn't have spent money doing that if they were going to be used in this way. I can understand if you wanted to get some feedback, but presenting them as a slightly positive for golfers just wasn't helpful for anyone, and I think we can do better. So just something to consider as we move forward in future decisions. Thanks.
Thanks, Heath. Next is Teresa's iPhone.
Hi. Good
Hi.
evening. This is Teresa Bramwell. Thank you for taking my call today. I just wanted to say welcome to the new city council members. And I understand from reading some news that 3 of the new city council members live in East Central Ogden. I am elated to hear that. And I want to remind the city council that East Central Ogden has been taking a haircut of the property taxes being paid in that area for many other projects that have happened in different areas of Ogden, including the junction. And I'm sure there are others. And since we now have 3 city council members that live in East Central Ogden, I expect to see some amazing things happening in East Central Ogden, and maybe the rest of Ogden can start taking a haircut and that money can start pouring into East Central Ogden, because the taxpayers in East Central Ogden don't have any hair left. We are completely bald, and we need the rest of the city to step up for us. Thank you, and have a good evening. Thanks.
Thanks, Teresa. Next one is Wesley Calgren, I think is how you pronounce that.
Yeah, that's me. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Perfect. All right. My name's Wesley Calgren. I'm an Ogden resident. Anyway, I wanted to chat about the survey for closing down the trail. I don't think the survey is a very good way to, or a very good margin in order to judge closing down the trail. The problem is I actually just got out of a statistics class that I'm taking at Weber State. I'm on the Weber State cross country and track team. And it's very important to us that we have a flat trail from the school that's soft to run on. But what I was saying about that statistics class is whenever you release surveys, the problem with surveys is they're not very good at reporting data. Honestly, they really aren't. In order to have a 2% margin of error, you have to have over 500,000 responses. And I don't know if we even got more than 1,000. So to say that there's an overwhelming majority, there's a majority in Ogden that's for closing down this trail is really not. It's really not. It's more of a 50-50. When you do statistics like that, you find that whenever it's not outside of this margin of error, your null hypothesis, which is 50-50, is true. And so I think this survey was a very bad representation of what the Ogden residents want. On top of that, I know that there were people who live in California who have golfed at Mount Ogden, and they received this survey. So to me, it brings into question whether all of these people are really Ogden residents too. So I would like you guys to reconsider how this was done, and I want you to think about maybe putting it on the ballot when elections come up, because I heard that's what's going to happen this upcoming February, I think. But I think it would be a good idea, and it doesn't have to be a lot that you put on the ballot. You can put a few simple sentences. Okay, I'm sorry, but just a few little sentences that explain the situation, and then it's done. And I can help you with that if you want. And with that, I'd like to end my time. Thank you for all you guys do.
Thanks, Wesley.
Hi, my name is Zach Colton. I'm an Ogden resident for most of my life. The only time I have not lived in Ogden was when I was going to school down in Salt Lake at the University of Utah. And I contemplated for a really long time staying there. And I ultimately decided to move back and buy my first home here. I'm a professional mountain biker, and I did that because the trails here are so good. And specifically, every trail serves a unique purpose, both in biking and hiking and everything. And that trail and the way it serves as a thoroughfare through Ogden from Buse to Weber State to 29th to 27th to 22nd Street trailheads, and just blocking it off, the upper trails don't replace that. So it's not something that can just be, explained away by, well, we have other trails the hiker can use. Every trail serves its own purpose, and taking it away is, it's not a zero-sum thing. But yeah, I was here last year at the city council meeting where an overwhelming, the room was packed with people supporting the trail. And it felt like we got through to our elected officials, and we started the civil process in a way that felt good as a resident of Ogden. And it felt like there was a conversation about compromise between the supposed safety risk and, the trail. And then it felt like we really got rug pulled. And again, I'd like to reiterate, when we got rug pulled, the email went out that the trail would not go out. The raw data for the polling that showed very natural and grassroots support for the trail in the raw data of that poll. And then, you can see a few days before it closes, a big spike from where the email blast went out to the golfers, where it didn't go out to trail users. It has just felt like it delved into sort of the dishonest and vague and upsetting politics that you see on like a larger scale. and that's been disappointing. So that's why I've come back this year, not to really hash out the importance of the trail specifically, but just as an Ogden resident to say I've been disappointed in the communication about how, you know, we would proceed on finding a compromise or, you know, discussing a safety risk or whether or not there was one. And that's felt like, you know, with the results being artificially manipulated with targeted email blasts, you know, it's felt like the mayor maybe has sought out a result regardless of whether or not that was supported by Ogden's residents. Thanks.
Thanks, Zach.
Hi, everyone. Taylor Knuth, Ogden resident. First, I want to start off by congratulating our new council members. I've never been more hopeful about the future for Ogden City. And I agree with Council Member Lundell that this was an election about change. And with that, I hope it signals a new direction for this council. I'd like to return to an email that I sent on November 30th that I'd like to address in tonight's comments. I've lived in East Central Ogden for over a decade. I've sent this email on November 30th asking a pretty straightforward question regarding the flock surveillance network operating in East Central Ogden. Council members Ritchie, Graff, and Choburka responded. Then council members Blair and White did not, and Chair Heyer did not. Even council members Lundell and Washington, who hadn't even been sworn in yet, took the courtesy of responding to a constituent. So let me ask a few questions on the record because I and my neighbors deserve answers. Mayor Nadolski, you made transparency a centerpiece of your inaugural address. You said earning trust requires being transparent. The Ogden Way also promises, quote, a secure and vibrant environment for all residents, and, quote, a stable neighborhood built on connection and pride. How does constant surveillance of my neighborhood align with those values? Because there's what the Ogden Way looks like below Harrison. Every coffee run, every trip to Smith's, every drive to my friend's house, I get photographed in my car, cataloged and stored in a database for 9 months, and then it restarts again the next day without warrant, without consent, without most of you understanding what you approved with Project Safe Neighborhood years ago. Only one current council member, now 3 current council members live below East Central. The rest of you made decisions to live in the neighborhoods you live in, and that's great. But in December of 2020, then Deputy Chief Young promised the data would be kept for 9 months unless police get a warrant, that cameras would only read the plates on public streets, that the system wouldn't be used for non-criminal investigation. Those terms were the terms of Project Safe Neighborhoods pilot. According to deflockme.com, a publicly available and vetted website, it now shows East Central has 59 cameras. Ogden has 59 cameras from Flock, 34 of them in the Project Safe Neighborhood Zone and 25 elsewhere, but all below Harrison. My question for those above Harrison is, why isn't your neighborhood also being surveilled? Meanwhile, in communities like Stanwood, Washington, they've paused their entire Flock program after discovering that this company had contracts with federal agencies that their reps sat silent on through community concerns about ICE and the Border Patrol agents capturing this data and using it for enforcement. I'll continue, but I expect answers. Thank you.
Thanks, Taylor.
My name is Marilee Blackham. I'm an Ogden City resident. I've been here for 17 years. I'm also the head cross-country coach and assistant track coach at Ogden High. I apologize for my tardiness as I was with my athletes this evening, and I apologize if I repeat something that's already been said because of that. I've utilized the golf course trail personally for training as a semi-professional athlete for almost 2 decades and have found it to be a great asset to the high schoolers I coach. The trail was missed immensely this year, and my athletes were forced onto the roads for flat recovery runs. Every time my athletes are on the road, I'm concerned about the risk of an auto pedestrian accident. Because this trail is so important to me, I joined a group of concerned trail users and met with people from the mayor's office over the summer to come up with a compromise. We had a good plan and were ready to move forward and provide the volunteer help needed when the city told us the last step was to gather public opinion. The survey was distributed with selection bias being heavily posted and distributed to the golf community. Once the survey was closed, the city repeatedly ignored our requests to share the data collected. Over 2 months later, we finally got a response with the raw data and were told the decision had been made to close the trail permanently. We were given no chance to evaluate or give feedback on any data before the decision was made. The next morning, the Standard had an article quoting the mayor on the trail closure. The data was purposely withheld until the final decision had been made and published. The mayor said the majority of Ogden citizens wanted the trail to remain closed. 51.8% is not statistically significant. It is also flawed analysis because the question on the survey did not ask if the people wanted a trail through the golf course. It asked if they agreed to the proposed changes. So several of the no votes stated they wanted the trail left the way it was and weren't opposed to the trail at all. Whatever the future is of this trail, Ogden residents deserve to be heard fairly. Thank you.
Thanks, Marilee.
Hey everybody, Sean Bishop, Ogden resident. Continuing where Taylor left off, just 5 questions that we would love an answer to in East Central, especially just because those cameras are a lot more prevalent around our house. 1, which agencies, local, state, federal, can search Ogden's flock network right now? 2, is national lookup enabled? That's the feature letting any agency in Flock's network search our data. 3, have you received preservation requests or subpoenas from ICE, Border Control, or Homeland Security investigations? 4, who authorized expanding the Flock network beyond the PSN zone? Was that a council vote? 5, Deputy Chief Young said that the pilot supported 8 cases. How many cases have been supported since? What kinds? How many daily is the system accessing and by whom? These aren't hard questions. If there's nothing to hide, there's no reason not to answer them. We love this city. We choose to stay here when we could have left. But we can't be silent when things like this are happening with such intense surveillance. And there are other cities, Oakland, many, many more that are getting sued for very similar things. So this is something that we need to be aware of. Council members Washington, Lindell, and Lopez, I think I saw your name up there. Congratulations. We're so excited for you. And yeah, please answer these questions. They should be in emails, and obviously you know how to get in touch with us. Thanks.
Thanks, Sean. Anyone else?
Good evening. Name's Tom Carlton. I'm a lifetime Ogden resident. I was at the meeting. I'm speaking on behalf of the trail closure. I'm opposed to it. I was at the meeting last year and listened to the mayor apologize profusely about the way it had been handled initially. And then as the news has come out about the final closure, it just strikes me as wrong the way it was done. I've always believed in process. If there's a mistake, if something happens poorly, you can usually figure it out by the process that led to that decision. My question, and I want this on record, I would like the city council, I would like the mayor's office to describe the process that allows what happened to actually have happened. In this age of questionable politicians and corruption, you know, I really never thought that my city, I love this town, that I would have to even question the ethics and the honesty. But I think everybody here who's involved in this is just aghast at the way this happened, how one-sided emails could go out, how QR codes can go to golf courses and not trails. And again, after your very sincere apology, it just it strikes me that that was insincere. And I would like to know your description of the process, because if this is how decisions are made, I think we've got problems in our local government. That's my request. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
I don't mean for this to be like a attack on Mayor Knight, but I watched the Ogden Way podcast, that episode, and I thought it was an interesting kind of businessy, bureaucratic episode.
Thor, can you tell us your name?
Oh yes, I'm Thor, Ogden resident. I'm a youngin, 19. I watched that podcast. I thought it was interesting, but knowing that it happened directly next to this trail being cut off, it seems deeply unprofessional. I mean, how can you make an episode of a podcast where you're buddy with the person who is in an ongoing like dispute with when it comes to the city and the community? And it seems deeply biased that you can have an episode of a podcast where you're talking to someone who's supposed to represent the community and have an ongoing dispute between them and community members in a grassroots fashion. Now, this is even worse when you consider that there was the ICE was harassing people. Actually, no. It was Ogden City was harassing people on behalf of ICE. And this happened relatively the same time as the same podcast was releasing an episode about how great the Ogden Police Department is. And that episode was great. I watched it and I thought it represented how like you were handling the Ogden Police Department. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we should be releasing episodes that are kind of whitewashing the worst parts of what's happening in Ogden. We need to be able to discuss these things without having the mayor have a podcast that is directly discussing those factors when we're in the middle of like crises in Ogden. I mean, our city police talking and harassing people on behalf of a national government which is taking away our community members. Like how can we have a mayor who is running a podcast that is trying to like whitewash that right now? Like I love the podcast. I think you're doing a great job expressing community members and making sure that everyone feels welcome and showing businesses and people at work, but we just can't have those things right next to ongoing issues. It causes a conflict of interest, which makes all of these discussions much more complicated to have. Thank you very much, and welcome to the City Council. I hope you all have a good night.
Thanks, Thor.
My name's Jason Black. I'm an Ogden resident. Mayor, I want to know if you actually looked at the results of the survey yourself and went through it and analyzed the data. When we look at the survey, there were several biases with it. One, there's a question writing bias. The way the questions were written was difficult to understand what they were getting at. I had a hard time with it. And when my wife and I looked at the first 50 comments and on those results, people had marked no, but in the comments they said they wanted the trail left open. And there were a few people that said, I don't understand the question. Second, there's a selection bias that's already been said. Why wasn't the survey posted at trail markers, at trailheads, and where the trail is closed to the golf course? Why was it just posted at 2 golf courses? Third, there was an analytical bias when you look at this. There were 3 parts to the question. Should the trail be closed or left open? Should the existent trail be closed? 2, should the trail be rerouted? 3, should it not be done? But it was, when it was analyzed, it was a 2-part, not 3. How would that change the results when you analyzed it in 3 parts? In the quote in the newspaper, and it's interesting that the data wasn't released to other people to make comments until it was released in the newspaper. When an email was sent to my wife on October 9th saying we would have the results within a week or 2 and have them released to you, and it wasn't released until the week of the newspaper article, the last week of December. It's also clear to me with the release of the newspaper articles in the paper that the next day is how profitable the golf course is. It makes me think that this does not have to do with what the citizens want, but with how the city is profiting from the golf course and the profits that it's coming. Because even the article the day before the survey was released was talking about the profitability of the golf course. So hence, there's another bias. You quoted in the paper that there were thousands of responses. There were 844. When I look at the first 50 responses and take those comments out and change it based on the comments from the yes to the no, 49.7% said they wanted the course through the golf course. I think that data needs reanalyzed based upon those comments, or the survey needs to be redone with the question bias.
Thanks, Doctor. Anyone else?
Ashley Davis. I live at 3670 Fowler. A lot of this stuff has already been said, but I'm just going to read through this real quick, and I'll make it fast for us tonight. So thanks for letting me speak tonight. A little bit about myself. I teach PE here in Ogden School District. I've been doing it for the last 11 years. I've also coached volleyball, track and field. I'm at Ogden Junior High, and I'm currently coaching untamed basketball, 5th grade girls. Okay, so access to healthy recreation isn't just something I enjoy personally, but it's something I deeply value for my family, my students, and the athletes I work with. I've been using the trail from the Mount Ogden Golf Course for 15 years, also trying to do so safely and respectfully. I first gained my love for the golf course trail when I came to Weber State. It's one of the first runs I ever went on. And then after I have 4 kids, and shout out to my brother who's taken them to basketball practice and piano lessons for me tonight, so that I could be here. But that trail after I had each of my kids was the first trail I went and ran on to be able to heal both my body and my mind. So this trail, everybody here would probably get emotional about it, but this trail's a lot. And it means a lot. I do want to share my concerns about that survey data that's been discussed. From my perspective, many trail users didn't have the same opportunity to participate, so I don't feel the results were fully representative of the broader Ogden community. I truly believe that more accurate and inclusive survey data would show strong support for finding a solution that works for both golfers and trail users, along with satisfying the liability issues the city claimed to be the main motivator for the trail closure. I do not think the city administration had made the right decision to end the pursuit of an alternate trail compromise or an actual keeping the trail how it was. It may not have been the intent, but it feels like the administration already had their mind made up and never truly intended to work on a compromise. I'm here to ask that we keep the dialogue going and continue working towards an alternate trail option, or keep it how it was, near the golf course that allows safe, respectful access while supporting golf course operations. I really believe that the balance is possible. We talk about the Ogden Way. To me, that means collaboration, respect, and working towards solutions that benefit everyone. I think now is the time to really show what that means in practice. I'm ready to help. I can shovel. I'm really good at that. And I know there are many others who will do the same. Thanks.
Thanks, Ashley. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Kurt Ward, Ogden resident. I originally moved to Ogden back in 2010. I did my undergraduate here at Weber State, and I was actually part of the track team with Ashley. She was one of my teammates. She was a long jumper and high jumper, so I was a distance runner, so we didn't hang out too much. Anyway, after my time at Weber State, I was fortunate enough to go to Auburn University and get my master's and eventually my PhD. And while I was working on my coursework, I did 3 stats classes and 2 survey design classes. And looking at that survey, honestly, it's pretty piss poor, and that's being nice about it. If I were a professor teaching a survey class and that was an undergrad survey class, that'd be a C. It's pretty poor. One of the big glaring issues that I brought up to Chloe when I saw the raw data for the first time, where's the IP data from this? For example, how do we know that one person didn't go through and fill out the survey multiple times? And that could be said on both sides, but it's very alarming when all of a sudden close to the end, we have this large number of no's. Even more alarming is when we look and see that some of these are coming in at 2:30 a.m. our time. That's really odd when we look at survey data. Another big issue that I have with this is it's brought up that there's been QR codes and posting at the golf course. Well, even more so, anyone who had ever played at the Mount Ogden Golf Course received an email. How do I know this? I have a brother-in-law who's played at the Mount Ogden Golf Course before, who now lives in San Diego and who's been in San Diego for over a year and a half now. Why did a person in San Diego receive an email that has anything to do with the Mount Ogden Golf Course and the trail that goes through there? Why does anyone outside of even Ogden have a say in what happens to the city of Ogden and our trails here? That's my question, is what are we going to do about this? Why is the survey so poor? Do we need to go door to door? I'm more than willing to set that up. And I know that there's several people behind me that are more than willing to make that happen. And this is very, very sad when we have people who are outside of our city and outside of our state that have a say on what's happening here in our city. Thank you.
Thanks, Kurt. Anyone else? I think nobody's online, right? Okay.
Chair higher.
Oh, coming up? Okay.
John Wheelwright. I'm a Ogden resident. I've been here 12 years. I bought up close to the trails to be able to enjoy them on a regular basis. I often commute either on foot or bike to work in South Ogden via the trails. I don't even want to speculate on how many times I've ridden through the Mount Ogden Golf Course, never with an incident. I've stopped and had friendly conversations with groups of golfers teeing off. Never a problem. And when there were rumblings in August that they were going to do something about access to those trails going through the golf course, I was concerned. I enjoy them. My kids are on the cross-country team. They enjoy those trails. Reached out to the mayor and got a timely response, which I really appreciated. I said, you know, I understood there needed to be a change, that we should possibly designate the safest route through, that there should be clear signs, you know, specifying the risk. Anyway, I got a good response. He said, "Thank you for reaching out. We are currently considering adding some signs to warn of potential risk. If things progress past that, we for sure would have community input and involvement." Everybody knows how this went down. 6 months later, an article in the Standard Examiner comes out saying they're going to close the trail. No ifs, ands, or buts. I followed up with the mayor. He said he had forgotten our conversation, our correspondence. I share the feelings with the people behind me that, you know, the information that we got from the survey doesn't necessarily translate to the conclusion that a majority of Ogden wants that trail closed. And so I would just like to hope that our local government could do better than this. And I think this needs to be opened up again in such a way that the large majority of the population here can at least have their voices heard. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Hi, Lindsay Anderson, Ogden resident. I was late coming in, so I missed some of the beginning stuff, but I've been in communication with a lot of people through this process. And just to reiterate everything, it's been an extremely frustrating couple weeks. We're just looking for some transparency. We want to understand how this happened, and we want some answers. And we hope that we can trust people who are able to help clarify things and help make things right, that we can make it right. At the end of the day, the trail was there long before the golf course, and there's been way a long history of this trail use, and we hope that that doesn't just get washed away, because that's what it has felt like. It's just going away, and there's, well, this is what we're doing now, and you guys just need to shut up and take it. And I don't agree with that, and I don't think that that's how this should be handled. And it has been an extremely frustrating for a lot of different people to feel like, to be told one thing, that we're going to work on this solution, we're going to do this, and then once the data actually comes out, it seems so controversial. And we just want people to look at this and to actually dive into it a little bit more, and not just close the book on it, so that we can actually figure out what's going on. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say, but I appreciate your time. I hope that you guys will open this up again so that we can have further communication and not just end it here. But okay.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Hello there, Justin Haslam, Ogden City resident. Guess he took off, but I went to Weber State and Utah State. So anyways, I just have a question. When we think of Ogden, do we think about how great golf is in Ogden? Or do we think about how great our trails are? Golf has been subsidized by Ogden City for a long time now in Ogden, and our trails have been made by our community. They haven't been made by Ogden City. Recently, we have donated some money. We've given some money to trails, and that's awesome. We need more. We need more. When we think of Ogden City, maybe we think about, the reduction of trails. But we think about the people of Ogden, we think about adding trails. And so from here going forward, I think we need to think about Ogden City as the builder of trails. Because trails, they're our ecosystem. They're us. They're where we meet our neighbor. I've met so many people on the trails who are important to Ogden City, and I have their names saved in my phone because they're important. And that's where I meet them. Is that on the trails? I don't meet them, walking down 25th Street. It seems like everybody's just busy to go somewhere, but you meet them on the trails. And so the reduction of trails, taking that away, makes me meet less people, meet less golfers who I can interact with. And so thank you so much for letting us all come here. And I hope we have some comments and some good discussion. Thanks.
Thanks, Justin. Anyone else? Going. Okay. Thank you all for your well thought out comments. We appreciate public input. It is very helpful. Now, I think we want to address some of these things. Our practice for our new council members is we get a chance to try and answer these if we choose to. If we know the answer, of course, don't make something up. But anyway, I want to talk to Linda Sanchez, her comments about our forefathers. This is the first month of our 250th year as a country. We're celebrating the Ogden Weber America 250. It's a group that is well organized, and you'll see a lot of that kind of thing going on throughout the community as well as here at the council that will address our founding and some of those things that make us who we are, how we got to where we are. There were many comments on the trails, and while we appreciate your comments, it should be noted that the council hasn't got any authority over these kind of things. This is strictly an administrative function. So it's just kind of how that works. Sean and Taylor, I will apologize that I did not personally respond to your email. When I finally saw it, it looked like there was plenty of responses, and I didn't have anything new to add. That's why I didn't reply. But I did see your question and noted it. So just understand that. So, council members, of you, I think that was pretty well, kind of roughly covered the topics that we have discussed today. There's a lot of different kinds of questions with respects to the process, the survey, et cetera, like that. But I think we're going to let the mayor have a few minutes when he gets his time to talk about those things. So, but council members, anything you'd like to address to the constituents?
Chair, if I may?
Yes. Councilmember Lundell.
Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight and for giving your feedback on issues. It's vital that we hear from our community members, so thank you. We did have some discussion on this in the work session earlier. I'd encourage you to go and listen to some of that. I've got my son here tonight, and for my first council meeting, he decided to support me. He's going to find out that they're real boring. He probably won't want to come again, but that's okay. But I taught him as a 3-year-old to ride a bike on the trail that we're discussing tonight. And I, at the time, kind of hoped that he might turn into a mountain biker like Zach over there. But he turned into a baseball player. He's a pretty good one, too. But we had a whole group of kids. We created a group called Nobbies, and we taught them how to ride bikes, and a whole group of young kids how to ride bikes. And in the discussion, we kind of learned that Mayor Nadolski lives on one end of that trail system, and I live on the other. And accessing that part of the trail system is a different experience from one side to the other. From my side, the other thing Councilmember Ritchie happened to bring up was a system of towing a biker up, and he got tangled up with one of them. Well, I was an early adopter of the towee. Okay. I towed that guy around a few places. But in order to access the higher level trails for somebody that's learning or somebody that's a youth, I've towed him up to get to the trail, the foothill bike trail, where we could then traverse down. That's a steep and arduous trail on your own. Towing a 3-year-old, it's even more difficult. But that's not the way to teach somebody. Teaching somebody, getting them on dirt at a young age, and utilizing that trail was pretty instrumental in him, and probably instrumental in us creating on our trail system, indeed, and creating a professional mountain biker that came out of Ogden. So I appreciate those concerns. I have one comment that I'd like to bring up. It was actually, I got a message from Russ Lawrence, who was a colleague at DWR with Mayor Nadolski, also bringing up the public easement and federal land there. And I don't think we've heard that specifically addressed, so I'd like to hear that.
Anyone else?
Sure, I'll jump in. First and foremost, thank you for the congratulations and the kind words. I wanted to state my email address, as I've received some emails from constituents already. It's aliciawashington@ogdencity.gov. Again, that's aliciawashington@ogdencity.gov. And on my, you can find my number on my socials and contact me that way as well. I want to point out what I see in the room, which is frustration. I want to point out what I see in the room, which is courage and determination for everyone coming forward and continuing this conversation, whether it's about East Central or new information that you might have heard tonight about the flock cameras that I'm continually looking into. And whether that's information as well about the trails, if you didn't know this was an ongoing conversation. But with these conversations, when we have the issues in front of us as a collective, as city council and as administration, and we're using language that feels rooted in ableism, appearanceism, ageism, that's trying to speak into transparency, process, and accountability, it doesn't work. And we lead to misguided conversations, and we lead to frustration, and we lead to a silencing of our constituents. And so I look forward to our new council leadership of how we can continue these conversations about the trails with administration, of becoming more up to date on our flock cameras and the process on that, and that reviewing with Chief Subi. And then also looking more into what our constituents are talking about with East Central. So these will be continued conversations that I will bring up with council leadership and that I look forward to having with the mayor and his staff. And I thank everyone for coming out tonight. And again, please feel free to reach out to me. I've tried to make myself as accessible as possible. So thank you. This is the People's House, and I appreciate your comments.
Anyone else?
I just want to say thank you to all who came out as well. As an avid trail user, actually, I don't know if I've ever used the trail in question. I do appreciate we have a great number of trails in the area, but I appreciate also the concerns that have been shared. And as was discussed in the council or the work session, if there are compromises, I'm supportive of that. Again, I appreciate you just being here. Thank you.
Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to just acknowledge the who's who in the running community that are here today. Just amazing people, many neighbors, people who I've respected and known for a long time. Your voices have been heard. We appreciate your input and standing up for these important things that you feel so passionately about. And that's what I love about our community. I love the input. I love the involvement. And just want to say thanks to all of you for being a part of that and recognize you and your commitment to your sport and to your passions. And just want to say thank you.
Okay. Mayor, would you like to address some of the comments and concerns?
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I actually really appreciate an opportunity to explain my side, and I hope you'll give me an open mind and ear and an opportunity to do that. When we had the room full of people, I meant it when I said I'm willing to consider alternatives, and I will give credit where credit's due. Chloe and others worked in good faith to come up with an opportunity and an option for us to put forward to the people. And one of the things that came out of the meeting that night was the difference that we had identified, Chloe, about unfettered access versus focused access. And I committed at the time, and I remained committed throughout, that let's come up with a pathway if we can. Let's look at the aerial photo, let's look at the layout of the golf course, look at the layout of the trail, and let's see if we can find a trail cut through that could work. Now, something that could work has a lot of different angles that we need to consider. And then I was really clear as well at the front end that I was not going to, well, I didn't succeed at this, but I was not going to make the same mistake of having poor public outreach or engagement. I was going to do a better job of doing outreach and getting input from the public. But we needed to find, like, what would that trail be that we would put out to the public and get input on. And so that was the effort that we went through, and that we ended up putting on the map and putting into the survey that we put forward. I knew long ago that this was going to be a very divisive and polarizing issue because I've been hearing from both sides a lot. There's quite a few golfers in our community that also consider golf to be outdoor recreation, and they don't organize the way you guys do. I do hear from them, and I know that you guys don't, but I do, and I'm trying to be mindful of the whole community and the whole city. And so when we came up with the option in the plan, we put it out there, and in fairness to the golf community, we did not ask for their input on the survey, but we did ask for input from the trail group and before putting it out. So that's my understanding. We can talk about that too. When we sent out the email, it went out on the front end, and there was not a follow-up email from that point forward. Email, a QR code, and that was it. And we went out and shared it on social media and all the other trail areas where we could, encourage the trail group to do the same. Our understanding, and as is the case, there's lots of activation and connection there. We were relying on that to help with the balance of the outreach and engagement. So we did not do another email to try and manipulate the results or the outcome. We just did the one at the very beginning, and then we just let it lie. And in the email specifically, I remember, at least, I don't know the exact words, about regardless of your opinion whichever side you fall on, please participate. We're not going to send an email out to 25,000 people thinking we're keeping some sort of a secret that we're trying to manipulate, etc. We're just trying to put it out there. So where I'm coming from is trying to make a decision for all of us, a decision that is transparent on behalf of everybody who does use this area for recreation. To Mr. Haslam's comment, do we think that Ogden's known for its golf courses or known for its trails? I was just coming from it that Ogden's known for its outdoor recreation. And so that includes the incredible trails that we have, but I also just wanted to make sure that we had opportunity for everybody. I've been saying that since the jump. Sorry, I put my glasses on. Reading my notes, trying to keep track of all the comments that were made. I said it in the work session, I'm not going to claim perfection. I'm just trying to put out effort to be in good faith and be transparent. When we did the, excuse me, the interview, I don't know if you've noticed, but we've been making ourselves and just availing ourselves to the media for all manner of questions. What they print, I can't control, but we are an open book and have been an open book. And it was my understanding going into that time that there was an understanding that we were going to stick with the closure based on the information that we had. And so my staff said, well, I got a text from Chloe saying, will you please encourage your staff to share the results? That was what tipped it off. I don't know. I can't speak the timing. I don't know. But I just said, hey, make sure you share all of that information with the trail group, which we did. But the timing of it didn't quite align with the expectation in my understanding of the conversations that had taken place. So that was then an honest timeline lapse that I can't claim that I manipulated. I'm not going to claim that I got it right. I'm just saying that I'm just doing the job. I got a lot of people having a lot of conversations on my behalf, and my understanding was that they were aware, and that and when my staff said, "What? Okay, great, no problem," because I got the text from Chloe, "What would you like me to share?" I said, "Share it all. Just share it all. Just share the raw data. I don't care. Just share it." That's transparency, I thought. Sitting down and availing ourselves to the media around the questions, transparency, I thought. Making sure that they had all the information before we announced it fully publicly, I thought was transparency. I think that, excuse me. I'm sorry that you guys think that it's something otherwise. That's not my intention whatsoever. I'll never claim to be perfect. I'm just trying to do my best. And in this job, you absolutely find yourself pitted against interests and against groups and opinions all the time. There is a very healthy and hearty golf community in our community. Same can be said for the running community and the trails community. And a lot of us have crossover between both. And so my whole mindset was not to exclude one or the other. It was not to pick and choose one over the other. That's the whole reason we went to a third party. I don't know where the gentleman went about the survey and the graduate school experience. I've got a lot of experience as well in survey and stats, and I wouldn't have done it that way either. I wasn't looking for a statistically valid sample size or survey or representative survey. I was looking for a characterization as another decision point moving forward. I did my best to be transparent, to be collaborative, and to be thoughtful and mindful of all uses and all people within this city. It's unfortunate that more people aren't hearing from the golf community the way that I am and the way that we are. I think that what you'd find is that there is a pretty healthy balance of use and demand and need and wish for access and for recreation. That's the point. As for the BOR letter, I haven't seen the letter in quite a long time. My understanding is that the letter is actually quite forceful in saying, close it down, close it, close it, close it. And it's not, that's my recollection, but I'd have to go back and review it to know for sure. For the flock cameras, I got the same email and told my police department, because we had just come off of a pretty high profile incident where we had a local child that was kidnapped and taken across 2 states. And then that question came in at the same time or shortly after, and we were communicating around the results of the case and bringing the child home safely. Thankfully. And we did rely on flock cameras, not just in Utah, not just in Ogden, but in Colorado and Wyoming as well. This is a technology that's used across the nation, not just here in Ogden. It's used across the state in all kinds of cities and in the state. And there are very rigid sideboards on what we can and can't do with it. Our sideboards actually we have policies that make it even stricter and tighter than what the state requires. And I thought it was being transparent, but we put it out to everybody in social media around the facts about how they're used and how they safeguard privacy, etc. I'm not sure it answers every single question in the email or not, but I have absolutely no concern putting my chief of police at the table with you guys and letting you ask whatever questions you want. There's nothing to hide. That's transparency to me. But what there is also a story to tell is that our police department does really, really outstanding work to make sure that they protect our community. And I want to make sure and also say that our staff do outstanding work to make sure that we build trails and maintain them, and we provide opportunity for access for golf as well. And I've never chosen between you guys. It's never been a you over you or vice versa. I've relied on both of you guys for input. And if you look at the record, because we were turning all of it over in our records requests, because there's been a timed request for records from the media, timed to print it on the day of this hearing, time to make sure that all of that comes out, etc. We're putting all that together and we're giving it all. There's a lot of records in there that shows that the early results in the trail or of the survey were showing that there was support for the trail. So I was like, you guys better get ready to build a trail. Tell me what that looks like. Tell me where it goes, how much it costs. Tell me, and it's in the receipts of the records. I was actually really surprised when the results came back more balanced, but the spike at the end, in my recollection, coincided with more outreach from the trail side, not the golf side. There was not another email that I'm aware of that went out. So when it all came out at the end, I was like, well, in my recollection, I don't remember saying there's a majority that want it because there's a 2% difference in a non-scientific survey. I remember saying there's an approximate balance of interest and of need. And so that was my mindset when I made the decision, is how do I provide balance and access and opportunity for as many people as we possibly can so that we can live active and healthy lifestyles. So that was where I was coming from. I'm really sorry if it's not, if I have failed in any way. It wouldn't be my first failure in life or in this job. But when I fail, I own them. So if that's what I've done and I have, I'll own it. I really do. I'm an imperfect man trying to make the best decisions I possibly can with the information that I have for the people that I'm hearing from, using the tools that we have. I suspect what you're going to find after tonight's conversation is there's probably going to be input coming from the other side. It will not have been prompted by me. It will not have been prompted by any media. Well, I don't know. I can't control that, but there is another side to all of this, and that is the job. That's what makes it hard. There's no question there's hard decisions to be made in this job, and I had a hard one to make, knowing that it was going to be unpopular one way or the other. So anyway, that's my description. We talked about more in the work session. I'm sure there's something I'm leaving out. If that's the case, I'm sorry. I tried to make notes, but thank you.
Mayor, there was one question I thought that, I don't know if you know the answer. I'll just throw it out there. Is how is the location of those cameras chosen? I think that was probably something that you might be able to address.
Excuse me. Yes, not based on anything other than criminal activity and where trends and patterns are for crime. And also, Chief Subi can answer this better, but we're also looking at major ins and outs and traffic patterns and stuff that match and overlay with the patterns for where criminal activity is occurring.
Okay. All right. Council member comments. So go
Just
ahead.
another question for Mayor Nadolski. Is there any use of that equipment by ICE, immigration?
No, there's not. In fact, and I thank you for bringing up ICE. I don't know the timing of when ICE comes and doesn't come into this town. We have absolutely no control, no authority, no influence over that. It was said here that we were operating under the direction of ICE. Not true. Absolutely false. I personally went back and reviewed the body cam footage and did not see that at all. And we were asked for the body cam footage, of which we were more than willing to provide, but it's long, and law requires that we go through and make, what would you say, like we would have to protect the victims, protect the information that's on the computer screen, et cetera, right? And that process requires hours of time. So we put to the requester how much time that would take and that we're required to pass that cost on. And she said, no, thank you. And we said, we still want you to know and see this. If you would like to not pay for it, you're welcome to come in and view it, and we will not charge you, and we would be more than happy to answer any questions. And that's the kind of transparency we're after. We're not hiding anything. We're just wanting to make sure that the truth is out there, because there's more to the story. And our officers' experience deserves to be told too. And our officers are being placed in impossible positions, you guys. In the case that I think that they're referring to was a traffic officer who was out there and was dispatched to protect another law enforcement officer. They did not intervene whatsoever in the investigation. They stayed a distance away because they were right there on nearby doing traffic enforcement. They stayed a distance away while the ICE agent in this case was having their discussion. The ICE agent let the person go when they violated traffic, clearly, because we've been giving them the direction that we have safety issues around traffic in our community. He pulled her over and just gave her a warning and said, I just wanted to let you know you made an aggressive move. I'm not here to enforce that. That has nothing to do with it, et cetera. And we showed all of that to her and answered whatever questions we had. So we're trying to be transparent as much as we can, and we're trying to listen, and we are. If we're missing the mark, that's a fair criticism, but it's not because I have ill will or a predetermined destiny or destination that I'm trying to get to. I'm just trying to get to what I think is best for Ogden and what our people want. That's my goal. Thanks. Were there any other questions that?
Yeah, Chair, I have one.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Just so that the folks in the room who came on the trail issues have a clear understanding, because I know there's kind of two trails here that we've been discussing. One is the closure of the trail through the golf course, and it sounds like that's settled. But also the alternate route that was proposed by the community. Was that decision a no? And if so, we've heard about the survey. Were there other reasons why that was a no?
So, yeah, we came up with the layout. You're asking if that trail's a no, or if
the trail proposed in the survey that was proposed by the folks in this room.
Correct. That was the option that was put to the public and said, give us your input if you are a yay or an A. And it came back balanced, and I just said, we're going to continue with the closure as it is without building that trail. It doesn't mean it's over, it's ended, that I'm done. I'm just saying that we're anticipating increasing participation in trail use and in golf, because the trends are both accelerating greatly, and we're looking for balance. And so at this time, it's going to remain closed. Yeah, I mean, if there's other efforts otherwise, I'm certainly not the king of this town. I'm here to try and help. But with the information that I have, I think that's the best course moving forward.
Mayor, given the flaws
we don't take, sir, public comment is over. Sorry about that.
And I'll just say, I'm not ignoring the flaws in the survey. They were not intentional. No, I'm not. I'm telling you that I get the flaws, but we asked a third party to do it for a reason. It didn't work out for us, apparently. Thank you.
Any other council member comments?
I just had the one, and Taylor, again, I remember replying to your email and then seeing the Ogden City Police Facebook post. It was pretty close after that, and I should have followed up to see if that answered all of your questions, and I don't know if you had a chance to review that. I think in there it did say that what's captured is license plate only. They're not capturing any other data or any other images, and so I don't know if that's accurate or not. It seemed, and I don't know if we can confirm that, but yeah. And then the other thing on the trails is just just maybe put this out there as a compromise of maybe accessing through the course off hours. You know, and a lot of times runners are going out early, and if that's a possibility, again, I think that was decided not to, but just something I think could be a good compromise as a potential thing. So.
I wouldn't mind making a quick comment, my
Please
last
do.
council comment, but I think for me, I definitely have concerns about the process, as was mentioned, and I've definitely been involved in conversations on this dais, and even before I was on council, where other surveys have been questioned for a variety of reasons from either side. So to your point of having the trail users help to collect the survey responses, most of the time this council will not take that into account. For the chickens, for example, a well-known professor from the research center at Weber State actually conducted a survey that was randomized, that had people knocking doors, and the council that was currently, or was in that, up here at that time, discounted the whole survey because some of the advocates for chickens in the community actually helped gather the responses. So I found that rather appalling because the professor was really well known and has a lot of accreditations. And I know that center does a lot of good because they did a lot of good when I was working at United Way. But I also, I guess I want to say, and this is not to the mayor, this is just in my experience being on the council, and I think maybe in life too. And this is kind of a plea to the new council members as well as the ones that will continue serving, is to really think about, this is just how our systems are set up. And I know sometimes this is taboo to talk about these days, that systems cause damage to people because they're set up to create the results that we have. And those results are always not usually fair, right? Or just. So the questions I've been thinking a lot about as I'm stepping off the council is for people to really think about many of the things that were brought up today, right? Is who has the avenue to come and have access to us here in the public sphere, right? Who has the courage to step up to this podium, which is very intimidating. Sometimes we have really young people that step up there and they're really nervous and they have a lot to say. And sometimes we have people that are the opposing voice, right? That it feels uncomfortable to be maybe the one person that's saying the opposing thing up here on this dais. And there's only certain people that can make it to the meeting. As we're saying, like, children have to be taken care of, people have jobs, they have a lot of other things going on in their life, so they often don't even know what's happening at the city council that's gonna affect their lives because they have got too much going on. They can't be at the school board, the county commission, the legislature, the committee meetings at the schools, they can't be at the city council, they just can't be at everything all the time, right? So that's one thing that we have to allow for people, that you can't show up everywhere. So I think that's a challenge because when you hear one voice say something, they might be representing more than just that one person, and I hope that they are. So I think about who gets an email response and who doesn't. Who gets a phone call, who gets a return message, who gets that private time with you when you're out walking in the neighborhood or at the grocery store. Who do we spend special time listening to? Who has that platform or that access? And then who gains from that time and access and who loses? And so those are things that I'm thinking a lot about because I've been involved in a lot of controversy since I've been here. And a lot of times they aren't things that the council has a lot of power over. But of course, we want to work in cooperation with the administration to do the best things for the community. And also want to always try to hope that people are coming from a good place, right? So I think it's really challenging. And so those are things that I challenge you to do, is to think about who has the time, who has the space, and who do we listen to? And then when we make these decisions, who are the groups that gain and who loses? And it doesn't mean that they're right or wrong. I'm just saying, let's have those questions out there because I think that's where a lot of things do cause damage, and I don't think it's intentional. You know, I try to think the best of people, and that's the only way you can really get by in this world, right? Is to think that people are coming from a good place. And I know there are exceptions to that, but I just hope that that's the way that we can move forward, is to be thinking about those things. So, thank you.
Any other council comments? This is a really hard thing, you folks. I hope you recognize it. I think it's important that we try to empathize. If we were to look at, if the mayor had decided this the other direction, we'd had a different group of people saying the same things you did tonight. This was biased. The survey was goofed, and some of those kind of things. This was a tough at the top time decision for the mayor. I'm not going to say I made the right one or the wrong one. I'm going to say that it was a hard decision that he had to make, and I think we do need to share a little empathy with the other side, whatever that might be. So that's really all I got to say about that. But we really do appreciate your input and your comments. That's always welcome and always appreciated. You also can contact any of us by email or telephone. If you have more to say, 3 minutes is, in this sterile environment, is difficult, but we all answer our phone. So please feel free to call us and talk to us directly too. So I will look for a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. In the opinion of the chair, that was unanimous, and we are adjourned.